Hello and welcome to the disassembly of a Romanian WASR 1063, an AK-47 clone. Very popular rifle in the US. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but these are, at least they were, pretty easy to get your hands on in any surplus, hunting store, or whatever. It's a semi-automatic rifle. It is not an assault rifle, as commonly mislabeled. It has the original wood furniture and everything on it. I did put a little finish on this one. But this is one of my favorite firearms. It is tough. It's really fun to shoot, and it's just a nice piece of hardware. So, as usual, the first thing we're going to do is check to make sure that it is unloaded, and it is. And there's no magazine in it, obviously, which would go right here. So, the first thing we're going to do is take the safety off, and right here on the back of the receiver, where you have a little button that you can press it so that the dust shield can come off. Now, the rifle actually still will work in this condition. I don't really recommend it. It's a lot of stuff to be flying around, but yeah, it still cycles, still works. At this point, we're going to take the recoil spring out. It's the same button. Just push it forward a little bit further until it pops out of its rails, and out comes the spring. Alright. Now, if you so desire, this little rod that you see on the underside of the barrel is actually a cleaning rod. I mean, if you're in the field and you need to clean your rifle, you may not have a kit with you. So, you can take that out, and there is also, if you don't mind pinching your fingers, a brush and cleaning kit in the stock, which I don't usually use simply because the nice, clean, modern ones I have, I think, work a bit better. So, at this point, you can take the bolt carrier and pull it all the way to the back, and you'll see that it comes loose pretty easily. Now, this is your piston for your gas-operated action here. Since this is not a recoil, it is a gas-operated rifle, meaning that when you fire the round, the bullet will come down the barrel, and the gases will be behind it from the exploding gunpowder. And when they get to this point right here, there's a little bridge, and the pressure comes up and pushes into here, which pushes our piston back, which pushes along these rails and cycles in and out. Recoil spring pushes back forward. Simple machine. Inside of the bolt carrier is your bolt. Just turn it and slide it, and it should come right out. Set that aside. On the top of the rear sights, or side of the rear sights, you see this little lever. Push it up. This will enable you to take the cylinder, the chamber, or whatever it is for the piston for the bolt carrier, which just fits right in here. At this point, you're pretty well all the way taken apart. Anything you need to do, you can get to. You can get to the barrel, chamber, your trigger spring. You can clean out the gas tube without any issue. Pretty much at this point, you can clean the whole thing. And cleaning it just involves your standard hops, number 9, hobbies, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, just once all the gunk's out of the barrel and you've wiped everything down, there will be some in here every once in a while, especially on the bolt. You put it back together pretty much the same way you took it apart. Put this in here, put it down. Now I put a dab of oil in here and a dab of oil in here just to help it glide a little better. But slide the bolt in, rotate it, then rotate it back, and make sure that it sort of locks in this position here. At which point you can pick the rifle up like so, and this, make sure it gets on those rails, and push it forward. I also do put a little bit of oil right on here, not a lot, on these rails that the bolt carrier will be riding on. There's some down here as well, some on the springs as well for the hammer. Simply because, well, obviously the reason you put lubricant on it is obvious, but the reason you only put a little lubricant on is so you don't collect dirt. There is such a thing as too much oil, and it is probably more common than not enough. So oil your spring as well. It's a little trickier as oiling any spring is. Push it back in pretty much the same way you put it out. Take your dust shield, and this is usually the thing that causes the most trouble, because it sits in a small groove right in between the receiver and the bolt carrier. If it's too low, it will not clip. If it's too high, it will clip in, and you'll sit there and fiddle with it. And we'll see if I'm lucky today. Now, see? If there's a trick to do this, I don't know what it is. But as you can see, it is now back together. Final step, put our safety on just for safety's sake, would be to restore our cleaning rod, which actually screws in here. And our cleaning kit. There you go. That's the basic disassembly and reassembly of the Romanian WASR. Pretty easy. It's a pretty easy gun to work with. A little trick, or a little tip. If you look on the back of the receiver, it's oftentimes kind of hard to see, but you see that little triangle there next to the serial number? That is a symbol showing that the rifle was used for the Romanian Civil Defense Force, I believe it is, which means it was used in like a police force at one point. And the date, which is right next to it, is when it was manufactured. So in this case, this rifle was built in 1964. It was used for the Romanian Civil Defense Force, and it's probably built of a lot of parts of a lot of different guns that were put back together. So, yeah, if you ever happen to get a hold of one of these, they're a nice little firearm to have. They're chambered in 7.62 by 39mm. I think it's a 124 grain standard full metal jacket is usually what most people shoot with them. You see the brass case, or the steel jacketed cases. Or not steel jacketed, just the steel cases. You know the ones I'm talking about. I can't tell you how much you pay for one now, but yeah, if you ever get an opportunity to pick one up, they're a pretty fun firearm to shoot too.